Imagine this strange, almost unbelievable scene. A man who spent 25 years of his life crawling under the greasy chassis of cars, his hands permanently stained with oil. Then, he spent another 17 years clutching a broom, sweeping the dusty floors of a quiet, rural gas station. His name was Ronald Reed. His neighbors knew him only as a simple, humble man. He wore old, tattered clothes and drove a dilapidated car that had seen better decades. Absolutely no one expected that this man, who had never stepped foot in an economics class, would one day become the talk of the global financial world. In 2014, Ronald passed away, and that's when the shockwave hit the financial circles. This simple janitor, whose annual income barely touched a few $1,000s, left behind a net worth of over $8 million. Yes, you heard that right. $8 million, most of which he bequeathed to his local libraries and hospitals. Now, let's look at the other side of the coin. A man named Richard Foscone. He graduated from Harvard University with high honors, earned his MBA, and became a powerhouse CEO on Wall Street. Richard had everything: the intelligence, the elite connections, and wealth in massive abundance. He was so successful that he bought a mansion 18,000 square feet in size, featuring 11 bathrooms and 2 private elevators. But here is the twist. In the very same year that Ronald Reed, the janitor, passed away owning millions, Richard Foscone, the Harvard genius, was standing before a judge declaring total bankruptcy. His mansion was confiscated, his fortune was evaporated, and he ended up buried in debt and ostracized from the world he once ruled. How can a janitor who never went to university defeat a financial titan from Harvard at his own game? How did patience triumph over raw intelligence? And how did simple contentment conquer arrogant ambition? The shocking truth is that financial success is not a complex science, despite what they want you to believe. It isn't about mathematical equations, sophisticated charts, or insider secrets. It is about behavior. Money doesn't care about your IQ. It cares about how you manage your emotions and how well you can resist the ego that lives inside you. Welcome to the depth. Welcome to the journey that will change your relationship with money forever. Welcome to the psychology of money. Chapter 1. No one is crazy. We like to believe that we make our financial decisions based on cold, hard logic and clean mathematical spreadsheets. But the reality is much darker. We are all prisoners of our own personal histories. We don't see the world as it is. We see it through the lens of our own struggles, our own successes, and our own fears. Think about this for a moment. A person who grew up during the brutal stock market crash of 2008, watching their parents lose their life savings in a single afternoon, will never, ever view investing the same way as a young person who started in 2020, during one of the fastest bull markets in history. To the first person, the market is a dangerous trap. To the second, it's a gold mine. Neither of them is crazy. They are simply reacting to the world they experienced. Morgan Housel puts it bluntly: your personal experience with money accounts for maybe 0.1% of what's happened in the world, but it accounts for 80% of how you think the world works. It's easy to look at someone and say they are being stupid with their money. You might see someone living in poverty buying a lottery ticket and think they are being irrational. But to them, that ticket might be the only tangible hope they have for a better life, a feeling you might never understand if you've never been in their shoes. We spend our lives judging others' financial choices from the comfort of our own perspectives. But the truth is, no one is actually crazy. Every financial decision made by every person on this planet makes perfect sense to them in that specific moment. It aligns with their unique view of risk, reward, and survival. So stop blaming others And more importantly, stop blaming yourself for past mistakes. Start by understanding that your financial logic is not a universal truth. It is not a law of physics. It is nothing more than a distorted mirror of your past. Once you realize this, you stop being a victim of your history, and you start becoming the master of your future. Chapter 2. The Comparison Trap and the Sickness of More. There is a monster lurking in the shadows of your financial life. It kills your wealth long before you even start building it. That monster is your ego. Think about this question carefully. Why do we risk what we already have and what we truly need, just to obtain what we don't have and what we don't even need? It sounds like madness, doesn't it? Yet it's the most common financial tragedy in human history. Morgan Housel tells the chilling story of a man who seemed to have it all. He was earning millions, living a life of absolute luxury. But he lost everything: his reputation, his freedom, and his fortune, all because he never learned the meaning of one simple, powerful word: enough. The hardest financial skill in the world is not picking the right stock or predicting the next market crash. It is getting the goalposts to stop moving. For most people, the more they earn, the more they want. Their lifestyle expands to swallow every extra dollar, leaving them exactly where they started, stressed and unsatisfied. We live in a world designed to make us feel inadequate. Social media constantly parades the top 0.1% in front of our eyes, making us feel like we are falling behind. But here is the cold, hard truth. If you compare yourself to a billionaire, you will feel poor every single day of your life, no matter how many millions you actually have in your bank account. The comparison trap is a race with no finish line. The only way to win is to stop running. Real wealth is not about having more than your neighbor. It's about having the discipline to realize when you have exactly what you need. Mastering your ego is the ultimate investment, because until you learn how to say, "I have enough," you will always be a slave to a game you can never win. Chapter 3. The Ghost Wealth. Wealth is what you don't see. We are living in the golden age of the performance. We are surrounded by images of luxury, success, and excess. When you see your neighbor pulling into their driveway in a brand new, shiny Ferrari, your brain immediately screams, "That person is rich!" But the cold, hard truth is much simpler. At that very moment, you only know one single, objective fact about that person. They now have $200,000 less than they had before they bought that car. Morgan Housel challenges our entire definition of prosperity. He argues that we have a fundamental misunderstanding of what wealth actually is. We confuse rich with wealthy. Being rich is a current income. It's the expensive clothes, the flashy jewelry, and the high-end vacations. It's what you see. But wealth is the opposite. Wealth is the ghost in the machine. It is the money that has not been spent. It is the assets that have not been converted into things you can show off. Real wealth is the freedom to wake up tomorrow morning and say, "I can do whatever I want today." It is the invisible shield that protects you from the uncertainties of life. The tragic irony of our modern world is that most people spend their lives trying to look wealthy, which is precisely the fastest way to become poor. Every dollar you spend to impress people you don't even like is a dollar you've stolen from your own future freedom. Wealth is the silence in a room full of noise. It is the quiet power of having options. Always remember this. Being rich is what you show the world, but being wealthy is the ability to walk away from the world whenever you choose. Chapter 4. The Margin of Safety, Your Invisible Shield. The greatest enemy of every investor on this planet is not the market, it's not the economy, and it's not the government. It is overconfidence. Most people believe they need to be a genius at predicting the future. They spend their lives chasing the next big thing, trying to time the market perfectly. But Morgan Housel teaches us a much more humble, yet powerful lesson. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be a survivor. A margin of safety is not just a boring emergency fund sitting in a bank account. It is a psychological weapon. It is the invisible shield that protects your mind when the world around you is screaming in panic. When the market collapses by 30%, and it will, the person without a margin of safety panics and sells everything at the bottom. But the person with that safety net stays calm. They don't just survive financially, they survive emotionally. Financial wisdom is not about chasing the highest possible returns. It's not about winning every single trade. It's about achieving good returns that you can sustain for the longest period of time. The secret to massive wealth is not a high-speed sprint. It's a long-distance marathon. Survival is the only thing that matters in the game of compounding. Because if you can't stay in the game, you can't win the game. Remember, endurance is the key, and time is the real engine that drives your wealth. Without a margin of safety, you are just one bad day away from losing everything you've worked for. The highest dividend. Control over your time. At the end of the day, after all the charts, the spreadsheets, and the stock market tickers, what is the real point of all this? Is it just about stacking numbers on a screen? No. The true purpose of money is not to buy luxury. It is to buy time. The highest dividend money pays is the ability to wake up every single morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That is the ultimate return on investment. If you are trapped in a job you despise, just to buy things you don't even need, in a desperate attempt to impress people you don't even like, then you aren't rich. In fact, you might be the poorest person on this planet. You have traded your most precious, non-renewable asset, your time, for the illusion of status. True wealth is the sovereignty over your own life. It is the freedom to walk away from a toxic environment, to spend a Tuesday afternoon with your family, or to pursue a passion that doesn't pay a dime. Don't start by trying to change your bank balance. Start by changing your behavior. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. If you are ready to stop playing by the world's broken rules and become part of the 1% who truly understand the game of life, then subscribe now. Your future doesn't start with a paycheck. It starts with a decision.